Chirenje. I didn't want to be seen. You saw me when I didn't want to be seen. I was insecure. I was just faking it. I felt ugly, even when others complimented me. I thought they were just being fake as well. However, you saw the depths of my soul. You heard me when I couldn't even hear myself. The voices in my head would not stop. So, I had just silenced everything. Even my intuition and my gut, they were not to be trusted. I was in this abyss because of them. You felt me. When I couldn't even feel myself, I was numb from the pain and the hurt. I had erected an ice castle around my heart. The cares of this world had pulled me a number on me. Feelings were not meant to be trusted at all. You found me. When I didn't want to be found, gosh, love, I was hiding. From everyone, from everything. With the facade I had created, there was no rescuing me. You prayed for me. When I couldn't even pray for myself, I had reserved my prayers for my children, for their well-being, for their marriages and their children. Praying for my career and my business would be next. You see, I had given up on myself. It's 24 minutes after 9, a false start there, but eventually we got started, and I'm so excited to share with you this Vision of Love, a collection of poems by Audrey Chirenje, and she is here this morning as we take a walk through her pages on her book. Audrey, good morning and welcome. Always a pleasure to have you in our studio.
Likewise, for Lucky.
So, this Vision of Love, wow. I went through all the poems, most of them, and truly, we'll get to them, and I'll share with you some of my favorites. But I didn't want to be seen. I'm wondering at this point, is this person heartbroken? I'm pretending it's not you, it's the writer. Let's talk about the writer. Is this writer reeking from pain of a heartbreak, do you think?
I think, you know what? Poetry is this amazing concept that you can just put whatever you're feeling down on paper, and more often it's got no rules, and you can always break the rules if you want. So it's just, you know, putting those feelings on paper. And you know what, so you can be honest, because more often people are not honest. People will act how people want them to behave. They will, that's how come you see words like facade, you know, people are just pretending and faking. But this person is being real and just saying, I didn't want to be seen. And from what I'm saying, she had given up.
She had given up. I found it very interesting where you say, I felt even ugly when others complimented me. I thought they were just being fake as well. And then the writer says, however, you saw the depths of my soul. How do you know when somebody has seen the depths of your soul?
I think it's that feeling, like the writer is saying, you know, she's just going through the motions, but someone will just see them and identify all these trends and point them out. And actually, so this person will just take a pause and say, oh, okay, all right. And maybe before all these things happened, before life happened, you had seen these things, but then you just parked them aside and just given up. But then someone brings them up. That's how come you can actually believe that this person is actually seeing you.
I love that. And what a fulfilling feeling that is, I think, in life. Like I felt with Tatenda, feeling connected to someone, feeling as if they get you. You know, they're seeing that. I love that, the depths of your soul. Is it easy, do you think, to find that in life?
I think from the title, even I wrote this vision of love, and I was even in another reading, they were saying this vision of you as a person, because you know how you're so many facets to yourself. You're for like the MC, you're for like the radio presenter, the reader, etc. But people will choose to focus on one aspect of you. But I am saying, come on, people, whether it's love, like you're saying, love is, it can be your family love, it can be with your friend, it can be a romantic love, it can be with your children, it can be the love of God. We all feel it differently.
Yeah.
So there's always that vision. But however, as you know from my writing, even my fiction books, I talk about, I'm a tad controversial because I'm always questioning people. Why do you want us to have the same vision of love? And that's what society does.
Yeah.
They want to blanket us into the same person. But even the Bible is clear, we're uniquely and wonderfully made after all. We're all different. So even if it's going to be love, it's never going to be the same. And like you're saying, even with Tatenda, the illustration you gave, those little girls at 10-year-olds, the 10-year-olds, now she's in the UK, she's married. Yes, she's still your best friend, but it's another vision of your friendship that you're experiencing right now.
Yeah.
So that same vision of years gone past, it's gone. But it was real.
I love what you said there. You said it can also be this version of you. Because when we love people, it's really some kind of version of yourself that you're putting out there. Oh, wow. That's really deep. That is really deep.
Yeah, I'm deep.
You are deep.
Yeah, and you know what, on that note, let me also just say this. You know how maybe someone would have dated someone 10 years ago and they'll be going around saying, oh, he's so horrible or she's so horrible. But that person would have grown. People change, people evolve, and they become better versions of themselves.
Yes.
So for Laka, we'll meet that version of that person and everything will be grand. And people are like, no, he's like this, he's like this.
Yeah.
But that person is gone. They've changed.
I love how this writer, even when she is hurting, realizes the power of your gut. Do you also, as a person, Audrey, make decisions with your gut?
I think, you know what, we actually have this. God gave each and every one of us this gift. Some will call it spirit of discernment, some will call it gut, some will call it the universe or whatever, but it's real. So sometimes, you know, you get in a room or you meet certain people, you just feel it that something is off here, something is wrong here. Sometimes you might just fake it, sometimes you might even choose to remove yourself. It's real, and we need to actually listen to it more. Some will even say it's the Holy Spirit inside of you speaking.
You know what's so interesting from a science point of view, when you say had a gut feeling, it's not just an expression. From a scientific point of view, there actually is something that connects with your soul and your gut. I can't remember the science, and I'm not going to try to explain it lest the scientists are listening and they say listen to this one, but it's quite an interesting expression there. It's 9:30 on Capital 100.4 FM. Harada's Heartbeat. This version of love is what we are reading from today by Audrey Chirenje. She's also in the studio. And for you, do you trust your gut enough? Are you making decisions using your gut? We are still going to be reading some more. I read you the first poem from the anthology, I Didn't Want to Be Seen. I'm going to be sharing some more from you. I cannot wait to do just that so that you can also have a feel of this version of love. On a scale of 9 to 10, do you show yourself as your version, your true version, in any relationship you're in? We're not just talking romantic relationship yet, but when there is an expression of love, are you truly showing up as you? The next one I want to read to you is called Let's Do Life Together. It is Capital 100.4 FM. Harada's Heartbeat. Let's do life together. That missed call on my phone, we can't get upset over it. It happens. That misunderstanding, me ranting about deal breakers. I had to. I was exhausted. You not wanting to get in the ring to fight with me. This was your methodological method to avoid conflict. I saw it as despondency, no commitment. I needed someone to fight with me, fight for me, fight for us. The disagreement came. It is normal. We are two diverse people with diverse backgrounds. Obviously, we would see things differently. We are not clones or Siamese twins. 10 senses, 2 hearts, 2 bodies, choosing to come together to form one formidable unit. Compromises were expected. Negotiating always on the forefront. Sadness would come here and there. A what if also popping in once and again. However, this is our life now. Let's live it. Let's embrace it. You make me feel like I want to be in love. Really, really, I love how the writer in this particular one is very hopeful, but also the idea of understanding that relationships are hard work, Audrey. They're not easy. It is true. Two people trying to come together to be one is not something to be taken lightly, ever. Yeah?
Yeah. So I think from this poem, I'm sure if you read the whole book, you'll see that it's, people go through the stages. You meet someone, and then there's that, the next phase, and then there's the honeymoon phase, and then there's the real life now, you're being real. And I think this is part of it whereby, a missed call, and then someone will say, oh, you missed my calls, you're ignoring me. This is the real stuff now. But more will even come. And then there'll be a stage whereby you just accept each other. And then I call it the faith ever after, whereby you just know that it's you and God in that relationship forging your way ahead. So like you're saying, two different people, backgrounds and whatnot. So I don't know, maybe the Hollywood concepts that we saw in the movies is what made people assume that there's one vision of love, the flowers, the chocolates and the whatnot. But life is not like that. We now know it's not like that. It's difficult, but you have to make a choice. So you're constantly choosing. One writer was saying every day you choose to remain in love with that person. Every single day.
It's a choice. It's not a feeling, it's a choice.
It's a choice.
And also, I love something you mentioned it. This was your mythological method to avoid conflict, because there are avoidant personalities, right? There are people like, no, let's talk about it now. And then there are people who say, listen, I don't want to talk about this now. I'm upset. And then you were talking earlier about how you bring this version of yourself into this relationship. We're talking over, we're not going to do this later. Let's work it out now. And the power of then trying to find yourselves between what you are raised to do and what I was raised to do, and still find the middle ground, right? They say we love the way we expect to be loved.
Yes. So I think ultimately it's that choice and deciding that everything you're going to do is for the two of you. There's now an us. It's no longer a him or a her. Even if it's a friendship, even if it's a relationship, even with God, you have to honor that relationship. There are boundaries that need to be respected. Yes, that word, we don't like to talk about it as a culture, but we need to have boundaries to say, like you're saying, so those difficult conversations, it's all part of being in a relationship.
It's 9:36 on Capital 100.4 FM. Harare Zabit. We're talking to our author today, Audrey Chirenje. Did I also mention to you that she's also a certified coach? She's also into marketing and procurement. So she's not only writing books, she's also a professional. She's also great at reviewing book. Did you know that if you read 20 minutes a day, you could actually read 1.8 million words in a year? 20 minutes a day, just 20 minutes, not even a book, just 20 minutes a day, 1.8 million words a year. And imagine what that would do for your mind. We're sharing this morning an anthology, this version of Love, written by Audrey herself, and she's in the building. And I'm sharing with you some of my favorite writings from her book, and I'll keep sharing with you as we are going through pages today. So this version of Love, why this particular title?
So yeah, like I was saying, you know me, I'm a tad controversial, or maybe I'm just bold and I just speak my mind. But I was just trying to actually preach on this one. I was trying to preach here to say, come on, love can't be duplicated. Life can't be duplicated. You can wear the same shoe, size 6, but you're going to wear it differently. The left side is smaller than the right side.
Yeah.
So I was saying, just leave people alone in their relationships, whether it's family, friendship. Don't be saying, your sister, you must behave like this with your sister. That's my sister, not yours. And you've never been in our shoes. So even in the romantic relationships, you find that even when a relationship starts, the friends, the stakeholders will have something to say. but they can't speak for you. You know, they're not you, and they won't be experiencing what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
So this was me trying to actually preach.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that. Speaking of preaching, I was listening to a show yesterday. They were talking about divorce, and it was interesting to hear some people say, you know, people divorce because you've let the devil in, you've let sin in. And I couldn't help think this is all theory, because once you are in that space, two people, like you were talking earlier, trying to build a life together and it's not working, and you don't have the right tools, that marriage will fall apart. It's got nothing to do with the devil. And I'd imagine the church is also one place where having a relationship and being a Christian is the difficult thing, because once you divorce, you failed, you've fallen, it's shameful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, I was at a bridal shower the other day, and I couldn't believe my eyes when the speaker was actually saying, yeah, if you end up divorce, whatever, you're a failure, or if you don't pray hard enough, if you're not on your knees hard enough, you're going to end in divorce. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, these things don't have a formula.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, life didn't come with a formula,
The manual.
with the manual where you say go to page 5. If there's a problem, go to page 5 and do whatever. But we just have to go through it. So I think, like you're saying, there are not formulas, but there's help out there, you know. So you could, like, there's a poem I wrote about evolving together as a couple. Because I've seen that one of the reasons why people struggle is, okay, someone meets you today for like you're this today. But what if 2 years from now, you're now in Hollywood? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So you're still the same for like it, but you've evolved. You're now a film producer and whatever. So I think as couples, we don't evolve together. So you meet someone, Kumusha, you was a director. But what if as you grow, why don't you, you know, take her for, I don't know, lessons, whether it's dressing lessons, why don't you polish her? Why don't you also take her for a course so that you all speak the same MBA language and you don't leave her behind?
But I'm also thinking part of evolution sometimes also means that you might never connect the same way, and you're married to this person, where truly you are just realizing that tachinja, and this is like you're saying, and grade 1, grade 4, but somehow your evolution, rather than bringing you closer together, is bringing you apart. What if you're both evolving but just in different directions?
On that one, we come back to the same comment. You're choosing to be in love. So love is not feelings, it's a choice, hey? Same as marriage. You choose to say, I want to go and marry this person. There's 7 billion people on this planet, but you choose you want Jessica. So what happens after a year and then you're saying, I now want Chipo? So I think that's where the misconception is. It's a choice. So whether you're evolving in different directions, you still need to respect her space and say, you know what, when it's golf, I don't understand golf. Honey, I'm not going to go to the golf course with you.
Right.
But when you come back home, we can do other things. We're still together. Not to say because I divorced her because she didn't like golf. No, that's not a reason. Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking this morning about all things to do with love. Your version of love, my version of love, Audrey's version of love. Whatever your version of love is, we're talking about that today. And how are you navigating the idea of merging your life with someone else's? Kudos to you. You've done it for more than 5 years. They say most marriages after 5 will either make it or break it at the 5-year mark. If you make the 5-year mark, you probably will do better. But most of them, the first 5 years are the most challenging years. I was going to say, if you are in a relationship, you've been together 10, 15 years, what were your secrets in your version of love in merging your 2 different worlds, if they were, into becoming one that works? And what about unmet expectations? I'm about to share with you my next favorite poem from the anthology by Audrey Chirenje. Touché. You said you loved me. I didn't believe you. You showed me your trust. You wore your heart on a sleeve. You took off the layers one at a time. The consistency, the determination, the intentionality, the desire to merge our purposes, the encouragement for me to embrace myself, the acceptance of flaws, and also the poise, confidence comes from stepping out of a comfort zone, of a fake zone, of a lazy zone, of an accepted zone, or of a traditional zone. Damn touche, my love. We are on a compromise now. I see you just like you see me. I hear you like you hear me. I feel you like you feel me. I gotta ask, Audrey, is it possible for somebody to write like this if they haven't walked this path? Can this truly just be all from your vivid imagination? Really?
You know what I was gonna say? You know what? You must add spoken word artists to your titles.
Oh,
you are that good.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, when you're reading my poem, I was like, it sounded so out of this world.
Yeah. What does it feel like hearing them back to you?
It feels so profound and so deep. And you know what? I actually, I'm proud of myself for having put the words together in this book. I am.
And there are great words, and that's why I'm wondering, is it really just your vivid imagination to be able to articulate in so few words, so powerfully, I think, a version of love we all long for, right?
Yeah, so in this one, I'll admit that I had a muse, you know that word? Yeah. So, you know, there's always that person who inspires you to be more. And yeah, I did have that. And the poetry started flowing. I remember I wrote one poem in like 3 minutes flat. And yeah, and the question was like, what? You wrote it in 3 minutes? And I was like, yes. And they were like, you're actually very good. Have you ever considered, you know, just writing a whole book?
Yeah.
Because I had written 2 poems in my other books. I remember I read the other one in Guilt and then the other one in Appearances or Not. But I was just, you know, fumbling around. So yeah, I did have a muse.
I love it. And I'm loving the power of few words to drive the point home. You said you loved me. One at a time. The consistency, the determination, the intentionality. And what I love about that is, as anyone is reading those words, the reader, the intentionality embodies what they know as intentionality. You haven't put the picture in our mind. The determination becomes what the reader understands their partner or whoever they're thinking about in terms of that determination to be. And I love how powerful that is.
Yes, because we're not trying to put a formula for everyone. Like I keep on saying, yeah, it's a notion that love can be duplicated. It can never.
Yeah.
Just like as people were all uniquely and wonderfully made with our different gifts. So I'm amazed when I see people trying, you can't be for like it. They can never be the next for like it. No. They can only be a Jessica with her own qualities.
Yes.
And for like is for like.
I love how with each poem we've read so far, there's a certain line of thinking where the poem is progressing in stages. The initial stage of open-endedness, we are wondering what's happening. You know, you said you loved me. Okay, did you break up? What happened there? And then you move us through the story and beautifully ends with the conclusion that's not a conclusion. You know, it ends, I hear you like you hear me. I feel you like you feel me. Is there something that inspired that kind of thinking in your writing?
Well, maybe because I am a fiction writer after all. So I had to, you know, come up with the introduction, then go through the pages. And then so at the end, in my head, I was looking at an ever after whereby, you know, these 2 people, or whether in this case, these 2 people, they're now old, they even have grandchildren and all that, you know. But when they tell of their story, you know, it will be, this is our vision of love. This is how we met. This is how we evolved. We had fights and whatnot, but we chose to remain committed, to stay true, and we're now here.
Which one do you find harder to do, fiction writing or poetry?
Poetry is easy.
It's easy.
Yes, it's easy because even I've actually written some other poetry. I'll put it in a book one day, because you can be sitting here and in the studio, and then I can just start writing about the studio. I can write about the walls. I can write about the everything, and it comes out as a poem. Yeah.
So as you are hearing your words lifted this morning on pages, what do you think makes some of the poems we've read good poems or moving poems?
Okay, so what I didn't mention was this wasn't a book which was written like in a week or whatever. This took almost like a year of life happening. Yeah. So this is almost 12 months of life happening, and then the life is now put in a book, and the emotions and the stages. Yeah.
I love that. Do you think it's possible for somebody to, because often people say you should journal, and journal is often like a direct capturing of what's happened into words on paper. Just now you said you put this book together as life was happening, and I don't want to assume that it was necessarily a romantic process in terms of life. Is it possible sometimes to channel, can a writer effectively channel life experiences into writing, but that are necessarily devoid from the actual experience that they're having? Is that question making sense?
Yes, it is making sense. And actually, just, most writers, actually, they write a story, they can, come up with the characters, but they'll put little snippets of what they've gone through life, or what they've imagined life should have been. So, like, I'll give an example whereby, so there was an accident on the road. Maybe it didn't happen to them, it happened to someone else, but they'll take the emotions and what could have happened and put it in that story.
Yeah.
So yes, journaling it's actually part of every writer's program. They need to journal. And I think just as people, we also need to journal. I remember at church my pastor talking about a gratitude journal. So more often we think our lives are so bad, everything is so bad, but they were like, if you write 5 things that you're actually grateful for that day, if you write them down, you actually see that you have more. It can be, number 1, I had 3 meals today. Some people didn't even have those 3 meals. They might have had 0 or 1. You're alive. That's something to be grateful about. You're not sick. You're already on number 3. So you can actually go to 10, even 15 points if you only choose to see those things. Yeah.
If only you choose to see those things. I want us to go to another poem, which also happens to be the title of this book, This Version of Love. It's Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat, its pages. We're sitting this morning with Audrey Chirenje as we are looking at a collection of poetry, her anthology, This Version of Love.
I move confidently to outstretch the parameters of how you yourself, so that you can reframe your life for lacking on Capital 100.4 FM.
All right, so we're about to read from This Version of Love. It started on the sandy beach, all hues of cream, tan, and nude. The feeling under the feet was a mixture of comfort and uncharted territory. Then the wave beckoned with its mixture of colors, white foam and blue, turquoise, cyan, cobalt blue, ultramarine blue. The sky, not wanting to be outmatched, had streaks of its own blues. The journey then started with riding on a wave. It had so much promise of exhilaration and mind-blowing peace, just as an experiment to see if the wave patterns would not drown us. They started small and predictable, then became fierce, and then they threatened to capsize our boat. When we then had to drown out every voice and every force, we held on to each other for dear life. Waves splashing on the sandy beach, water cutting on the rocks along the water edge, taking form and shape. We became comfortable with each try. We did not let fear deter us. The winds and the wave would create havoc. That's what they were created to do in some instances. It was their nature. We transcended to the next phase of our lives. The stones became bricks that we built our wall with. The place had become a place to sit in solitude with our children. They would take selfies there. They would play ball games. The little one would be building sandcastles with a plastic bucket and shovel. We would look fondly at the sea and remember our journey, how it started and how we'd survived. We would sit on the stone wall and smile. Our initials ML and ML were carved at different heights of the wall. We have carved it in stone. This had been our vision. This had been our intentional wall. This is our vision of love. I love the use of imagery there, the idea of, and it's a perfect description, right? Of, I want to say rocky waters, but that's not what we say. Do we say rocky waters? Is that the correct expression when we want to describe, unsettled seas, unsettled water, and that perfect imagery? How did we think of this?
The cover.
Yeah.
I was trying to describe the cover, but also trying to keep in line with the theme of the book. So, funny enough, with this book, I thought of the cover first. Yeah, that's what I did. Very unusual. But because I didn't want to put out, the Hollywood version that I keep on talking about, I wanted to put out a version of whereby people will know that it's never going to be easy. Even, I'm always laughing, if you're a Christian, the Bible even says it's not going to be easy being a Christian. You're told. So even love, relationships, marriage, whatever, it's never going to be easy. It will have the waves, like you're saying, the stone, the sand, everything. So it's how you choose to now make it work.
This version of love, Audrey Chirenje, and Anthology. That's what we were reading from this morning. Oh, there's one more that I wanted to share with. Ooh, we've got like 5 minutes. Will we be able to get through this one? Okay, let me try my best to read quickly through the next one, the last one I wanted to share with you as we are hanging out with Audrey this morning.
And in everything I do, I move confidently to outstretch the parameters of how you should see yourself, so that you can reframe your life for lucky on Capital 100.4 FM.
How to work a relationship. Protect me, fight for me, need me, care for me, want me, burn for me. I don't want to feel like I'm in this alone. It's also not about a list or do's and don'ts. Rather, it's about embracing each other, evolving together, just being, exploring, experiencing, belonging, groundedness in each other, trust, confidence, mutual respect, independence, interdependence. There should never be a clock, as our time was set in heaven. It's infinite, it's set apart for such a time as this, for this generation, also the ones that will follow. Fun, playfulness, connection, flow, energy, seriousness, structure. We all need this too. Repetition is the mother of skill, said my other mother. We will master it. Tinochi master to game chacho. Eventually, game recognizes game. I'm in love. Already I am. This poem. It's a list, but it's not a list. Should we have lists as we are thinking about relationships, do you think?
I think why I had to put all these things down, it's because people will say, no, I'm committed, I'm this, but you're not doing, all these other things, because it's just not one thing, It's so many other things, like there's that word dependency. Then there's also interdependence, because you don't want to be codependent on someone. You must have your own life and your own interests and whatnot. Because if you're not, for like I will be, I don't know what's sure, that guy will be there also. And then it creates all this tension and whatnot. So yeah, and even the master image, it's you have to master it. So I'm just trying to say it's not an everyday thing. It's not a 1 week thing. It's a process day by day. Like I keep on saying, you have to keep on choosing.
Yeah, it's work.
It's work. It is work.
Wow. So this is a great collection of poems. This version of love. Who is the sort of person you are hoping to fall in love with this book? Who needs this?
I want for people, like when I read it on ZTN, they ended up making it about people that everyone, there's a version of you that maybe you'd put aside, you need to go back and get it, you know, just reclaim your life and whatnot. So it's for a person, it's for couples, it's for sister-brother relationships, family, even your relationship with your creator. I'm just saying, just go back and find that version that makes it work for you, that's comfortable for you, and then just stick to it. Don't let people try and diffuse it and dilute it and say all sorts of things. You have to drown out those voices. Yeah.
How do we get a copy of this book, Audrey?
So this book is on Amazon online, and also you can get a hard copy in of 8 bookstores and a couple of so many other bookstores. House of Books at the airport, some books in South Africa, Victoria Falls. I'm trying to get it out there.
Yeah. On our next conversation, I want us to talk about publishing, what it must be like for a Zimbabwean writer to publish books. We often say, I've often heard readers on our show say, Zimbabweans don't have a culture of reading. Do you agree?
To some extent, I do agree. But I also think there's a problem with distribution. I mean, now that I'm in this publishing game, we don't have enough distributors of our product. So this book won't find its way to Kadoma because there's no one selling that book in Kadoma. So we need to get that right, and then encourage people to read, and then tell people that, you know, books are not boring, because people think books are boring, or if it's Zimbabwean, they think it's going to be about poverty and whatnot. No, we've got a whole lot of authors that are writing amazing, world-class stuff.
Audrey Chirenje is our author today. If we're gonna want to get a hold of you, Audrey, how do we get in touch with you?
Okay, it's all social media platforms, Audrey Chirenje, the author, or also on my pages, my contact number is there, so you can always get in touch with me anytime.
This version of love, an anthology by Audrey Chirenje. We do this again next week. It's 10 o'clock. It's time for the news.